Susman DC was built in 2014, and so far is the most evolved, adapt, and or best adapt for living on the beach. However, still not adapt as they need to be, so here they are in the museum showing you what they could have done. So NOR Susman DC, or I guess let me tell you a little bit about Theo Jansen and his work. He's been making these for 25 years. Every strandbeest that you see in our exhibition was made by Theo. He is from the Netherlands, and he originally had this idea to, because the Netherlands are 1/3 below sea level, 1/3 of the country is below sea level, he had the idea to raise the height of the dunes on the beach to actually fight rising sea tides. And so he was like, oh, I'll make a machine, an animal, something that will go out there, kick and pick up sand and raise the height of the dunes. And then he got out there and realized that was really, really hard. And then he kind of gave up on that idea. But that's okay, because he got out there, he got out onto the beach, and he realized that the wind was really what he wanted to work with. So, and the pipes, he's actually said the first year he told himself he was going to dedicate a year to the pipes and see what he could get them to do. So, it's been 25 years, and now we have Anamar Susman DC, and so his goal is to have them live on the beach autonomously, completely by themselves. He does not want to have to go out there and take care of them anymore. He's getting a little sick of it, I think. So this guy, he's almost there, maybe, but we'll show you what he can do and tell you why he probably couldn't survive out on the beach all on his own forever. But so on this side, you can see, and he's obviously not built like us. Does anyone have a guess whether, or what end of him this is? Is this his head or tail?
Head.
Tail? I'm hearing a lot of tail. Well, tough. It's his head. So he's got this big spoiler-shaped head that's actually, you guys over here might be able to see, it's actually just wrapped in packaging tape. So it's just clear packaging tape, and that's what's making the spoiler shape. And that will, when he's out on the beach in his natural habitat, if you can imagine, we are on the beach right now. You guys, you're the ocean, and these white curtains on this side are the sand dunes. And so this big flat area, the flat wet sand, is the only thing that these strandbeests can really walk on. If they walk into the ocean, they drown. If they walk into the dunes, they trip and break. They're, again, he's working on it. So this guy, if he's out on the beach, you can picture, the wind will hit his spoiler-shaped head and send wind along his back and unfurl his wings. And then the wind on the beach will cause his wings to oscillate or undulate back and forth. And if you look really closely, there's one crankshaft there's one crank on that top crankshaft that's actually hooked up to a piston and cylinder. And so when this guy's out on the beach and his wings are just catching the wind and he's just sitting there flapping his wings back and forth, he's actually, one of those, or the piston is actually pumping, just like a bicycle pump every time the crank goes around, pumping air from up there down into the 77 water bottles that he has along his back. And those are actually what we call his wind stomachs. So when he's pumping air, he's eating. Air is his energy, and he stores it in his stomach, just like we do. Thank you, Ariel. All right, and so, back. So this guy, he eats air, and that is how he feeds. You can probably imagine, or maybe, it takes him quite a long time to fill up all 77 bottles when he's out in the wild. It takes about 10 hours of wing flapping, which is a long time to fill yourself up. So if you guys want to come back in 10 hours, we'll be ready, and you can see him walk. It'll be great. No. So we use an air compressor in here. It takes about 10 minutes to fill him up, so we kind of force feed him. But, so he is filled up, and so, okay, we're back out on the beach, and he is on He's on this side over here, and he's walked into the white curtains, which you can pretend are sand dunes. And so he needs to check the ground to see if he can walk there, because if he walks too far into fluffy sand, his feet will sink and he'll just trip over. So actually on his far end, which is actually his tail, he can shake his tail, he can swat his tail into the ground, just like that, and that bar that's on the end of it, the perpendicular bar, actually has two switches on the bottom. One that will hit two switches that can tell him whether or not he's hitting hard ground, or if it hits the top switch, then he knows he's gone through some soft sand, and that's obviously not what he wants to walk on. So he will, that switch will actually activate his reversing system. And so he's got these 7 ski poles, and then, okay, so he's walked into the dunes, and he needs to, wait, hold on, my metaphor's getting away from me. Pretend he's in the ocean now, oh my god. And so he's got, on the front of him, he's got a, what we call a water sensor. So this guy, he's the only one in our exhibition who is able to tell when he's walked too far into the ocean. And that's a good thing because we had some questions. What happens to a strandbeest when they walk into the ocean? They walk into the ocean. They walk all the way in. So this guy has to, he has this water sensor, which is essentially just a tube hanging down, and when he walks too far, he uses his compressed air to pump and breathe in through that tube, just like a lung. And if he senses water, just like when he senses soft sand, he will activate his reversing muscles, and now he is pointed the right way. You can see, so he can point those ski poles, we call them ski poles, in either direction. And right now he's pointed this way, which means he will come right in my direction, towards us. So now he's hit the dunes. He does not like where he is walking anymore, and he needs to move over. So let's see if we get a countdown going, and everyone, yeah, this is the time to get your phones out. Just a warning. We want to get a countdown going from 5. We can see if we can get Susman DC to walk across our beach. So how about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, and you can see, this is great. This is a great example of how Susman DC is also not totally suited to walk inside either.
One more step.
All right, round of applause. All right, and now Susman DC has walked all the way across our imaginary beach and run into you guys, his least favorite thing, the ocean, and now he has to turn around. So he's flipped his ski poles, and let's see if he can walk back to the center of the beach. And so as he walks, you can see the ski poles extending. It's a piston and cylinder system. They'll extend and push him across. And I should mention, I always forget to mention this, this is how Susman DC walks in an emergency. This is like running away, I'm falling into the ocean, or I'm about to get trapped in a sand dune and Theo's not on the beach to help me out. So this is emergency running. He's actually, the legs are exactly the same as the small walking ortises, or the walking strandbeest, if anyone's got a chance to push and pull them. He will, with the rectangular sail that's on the front that's covering these bottles, will catch wind and walk down the beach all on his own, just like the other ones, but then he has these emergency systems built in to, hopefully keep him alive on the beach. However, since we have no wind in here, we have to use compressed air. All right, you can see the steps are starting to get slower, even though it takes 10 hours or 10 minutes to fill up the stomachs. They're not the most fuel-efficient creatures, so you can only get a couple walks on our beach down and back. Alright, so this looks like it might be Suspendisi's final step. It's really trying for you. But I want to thank you all for coming to our reanimation. And thank you all for coming to Exploratorium After Dark, and especially the BYO Beast event. Hopefully, I'm not sure if we still have the walking units open back here and over there. You can all get a chance to push and pull your own strandbeest. Not one is bidding, but we will have those open. And if anyone has any questions, I can answer them, and any of my friends in the orange shirts can also take your questions. Thank you again. The question is, how heavy is